fight for me. I expected to get a lot of mean comments when I finally came out as gay. But it got a bit too much at school. There was no limit to how far they want to make me uncomfortable. They were like vultures who sunk their teeth into anyone when they saw any type of weakness. They were usually spurred on by the king of the school, Andy, who was in senior while I was a junior. He made sure to make my life hell every chance he got. He obviously hated me for being who I was, and he made me sure that I knew it. Andy was everywhere, making nasty comments or doing stuff to inconvenience me, which made me depressed. But I endured it because I needed my education, as it was my ticket out of that place. I was raised by a single mom, and we did not have much. She fell pregnant with me when she was in high school, and her parents kicked her out. My father wanted nothing to do with the both of us before I was even born, so it has always been just the both of us. My mom was the most hardworking person that I knew. She did multiple odd jobs to support us and to make sure that I had everything that I needed, so I was very protective of her. I usually got teased about not having money, but no one ever said anything about my mom. At least that was what I thought until the day I got into a fight with Andy in the hallway. He had been following me all day and saying stupid stuff like he usually did, and his girlfriend Penny was with him, laughing all along. "Babe, can you drive me to the mall later on?" she said. "You have so many clothes, you are always shopping." He laughed. "I never wear the same outfit twice, I usually give them away to help." "Wait, now that I think of it, one of our new mates looks just like Josh here." She laughed. "And you gave her clothes? Oh, Joshy. Did you like my girlfriend's clothes? You should wear those to the school dance. Maybe you will be crowned homecoming queen." He started laughing and a few kids who were with him started to laugh along as well. I gritted my teeth and kept on walking. There were so many times that I had come so close to retaliating, but it was so much bigger than me and it would be pointless to try. "I always knew you were a trailer trash. You should have seen his mother when it was parents' evening, the definition of trash." He started laughing. I snapped. He could make fun of me anytime, but bringing my hardworking mother into it was a step too far. I did not think twice before I punched him with all my strength. He held his nose for a second before he charged towards me. A circle had already gathered around us, so I did not have the option to run away. Usually, my physical altercations with him never ended well because he was a more experienced fighter than I was. I had never fought back before in all the time that he tormented me, until that day. He knocked me down and was about to deliver a punch when suddenly, he was pulled off me. I checked to see who my savior was, expecting to see a teacher, but it was Luca, my crush. Luca was one of the nicest people that I knew at the school, and he had always treated me with kindness. I had been crushing on him from the very first day that I saw him, but I had barely spoken to him despite an occasional greeting or a short conversation. He had moved here from the city and had only been in school for a month. Imagine my surprise when my biggest crush prevented my bully from making mincemeat out of me. I was beyond shocked and elated. "What the hell, dude? Why did you have to get involved?" Andy fumed. "You took it too far, dude. What you did was not cool," Luca said. "What do you care? He's not your friend, is he?" Andy scoffed. "You were always mean to him, and now you're making fun of his hardworking mother? You should be ashamed of yourself," Luca responded. "You want to commit social suicide? Fine. Hang around him," Andy said as he stormed off. Andy never backed out from a fight from what I knew, so I was very surprised when he retreated. I had never seen Luca angry before, but it was very scary. The look in his eyes could have melted ice statues. As the crowd dissipated, he walked over to me and held a hand out to me. "Thank you, man. You didn't have to do that," I said. "I do not understand these people. Why do they think that it's so funny to make fun of someone?" He said. "You have not seen the worst of this school yet, and you have only been here for a month. It is hell on earth, I tell you." I sighed. We started walking to homeroom together, which was absolutely bizarre in my mind. "At least there is someone decent that I met here," he said. "What are you talking about? Everyone here wants to be friends with you." "I know, but I do not really like some of the personalities of the people who are so interested in being friends with me. I have only spoken to you once or twice, I believe. You seem cool though," he said as we got into class. I could not even begin to wrap my head around the last 10 minutes of my life. My crush knew my name, had pretty much saved me from death, and he thought I was cool. I was just waiting to suddenly rudely wake me up and realize that it was a dream. After class, he asked me to eat lunch with him. I agreed, but I was suspicious as to why he wanted to suddenly hang out with me when he was not a social pariah like myself. Andy left me alone for the rest of the day, but every time that I saw him, he was glaring at me as if he wanted to break every bone in my body. At lunch, Luca waved me over to a table where he was sitting with some other kids that I have never met before. They were actually really nice to me. They were not popular, but I remembered some of their faces. I had always been too shy to approach any of them, even though they were not mean or popular. I managed to talk to Luca during that time, and I liked him even more. He was so considerate and smart, just like I had imagined him to be, and we had a lot in common. When I went home, later on, I could not wait for school the next day. I was high from the attention that I was getting from him, and I wanted to see him again. Luca and I quickly became good friends, and people started being very careful when they made any rude comments about me. No one ever stood up to Andy, until Luca. Andy still gave me a hard time, but not when Luca was around. It was like Luca was my very own bodyguard. Not that I minded, because for the first time, I was having a normal high school experience. Luca was very popular with the girls. They were always trying to get his attention, but it never gave them the time of day, which struck me as odd, because any guy in this position that he was in would have not turned them down. So one day while we were hanging out in this room, I asked him about it. "Why is it that you do not have a girlfriend?" I asked. "Oh, not interested," he replied nonchalantly. "Surprising," I said. "I'm not attracted to girls in the slightest, but I guess assumptions about me have been made." He smirked. My heart started to beat fast as I considered what he was trying to say. "You like guys?" I asked. "Positive," he grinned. I was shocked. I did not expect that from him at all, but what he said gave me a tiny bit of hope. Crushing on someone straight has always been the worst feeling ever, because you know how they feel about you without asking. But now, maybe there was a chance that he could like me. If only I was cooler, I would have had the chance. "So, you have a boyfriend?" I asked. "Nope. I had one and we were in a long-distance relationship, but we broke up a few weeks ago," he confessed. "Oh, I'm sorry about your breakup," I said. "When was your last relationship?" he asked. "I have never been in one," I confessed. He stared at me as if I had just grown a second head. "First kiss?" he asked. I kept quiet. "Shut the front door. You are so attractive. I'm finding that hard to believe," he said. He inched a bit closer to me and soon we were just staring into each other's eyes. "Why are you looking at me?" I giggled nervously. "Is your first kiss very important to you?" he said. "Not really. Why?" I asked. He leaned in and kissed me. I was stiff for a few seconds as my mind tried to catch up to what was happening, but I snapped out of it and I kissed him. And it was a very good kiss. I had nothing to compare it to, but it felt very special to me. "Wow," I said when he pulled away. "That was nice, right? Now you can say that you had your first kiss, even if it was not that special for you." He smiled as he got up. "Going to get a snack. You want something?" he asked. "No, I'm good," I said. What was he even saying? That kiss was very special to me. I liked him a lot and he just kissed me. It was a big deal. I could not help doing a little celebratory dance around his room before he came back. I was giddy for the whole day and I could not help smiling every once in a while. "What has gotten into you?" my mother asked at dinner. "What are you talking about, Mom?" I laughed nervously. "Is it a guy?" She winked. "Maybe." I smiled into my food. "Finally!" she exclaimed. Her reactions were so funny. My coming out was actually her coming out to me. I already knew that I was gay, but I had not gotten the courage to tell her yet. She sat me down one day and told me that she knew that I was gay, and she still loved me. Even though we did not have everything, we had each other. She was there for me when I started to experiment with makeup, and she let me use her as a canvas for most of the time. It had been because of her encouragement that I started dressing the way I wanted to at school, which in turn made people aware that I was gay. And that was when the teasing started. But I was glad that I was no longer hiding who I was. I endured all the abuse I got at school because I knew that I would come home to a mother who loved me and accepted me for who I am. She was always so invested in my romantic life, or lack thereof. So, when I started telling her about Luca, who she had not met, she had a million questions for me. "So, are you gonna ask him out?" she asked. "Mom, he is way out of my league," I shrugged. "He kissed you. That must mean something," she said. I blushed a little bit when she mentioned the kiss. That bit of information had slipped out when I was telling her about it, and it was a bit embarrassing that my mom knew about my first kiss. But yeah, I had to live with it. It did not mean anything, I said. Remember what you told me when I was scared to start dating again? She asked. You deserve love, I said. Exactly. Take a chance. Maybe he feels the same way about you, she said. I trusted my mother's judgment over my own, so I decided that I was going to ask him out on a date. I only had one life and I would not forgive myself if I ended up not telling him exactly how I felt. So then, one morning while we were standing by the lockers, I took a shot. Hey Luca, I said. Yes? He looked at me with a grin on his face. My heart started beating fast and my palms got a bit sweaty. Do you want to go out with me on Saturday night? I blurted out so fast, he scrunched his brows at me. Sorry, I did not get what you said. Please say it again slowly? My mind is so slow today, I played Minecraft until early in the morning. He chuckled. Do you want to go out with me on Saturday night? I said slowly. Like a date? Yes. I looked down to avoid his gaze. I was so nervous that I thought I was going to faint. Of course, I would love to. He tilted my chin up and smiled kindly at me. For real? I said. Yes, I have been wanting to ask you out ever since our kiss, but I did not think you had a thing for me. He blushed a bit. You were so confident and awesome. I was the one who was intimidated, I responded. We both laughed at our shyness. On Saturday night, we met at a small restaurant where most of the people hung out. Everyone was at some popular kids' parties, so there were barely any people there. I expected to mess up and say all the wrong things, but the conversation flowed freely with him. It was just how we usually were with each other, but with a lot more flirting. He had me flustered so many times during our date that I was giggling stupidly about half of the time. He got me, more than anyone ever did. I could not believe that I had been so lucky to have him come into my life. Just when things could not get any better, he told me that he had something to ask me. What is it? I asked. Will you be my boyfriend? He said. Yes, I said without any hesitation. He smiled at me and leaned over the table to kiss me softly. I wish that we were not in public because I wanted to continue kissing him. I told him that and he suggested that we go to his car since we had finished eating. Okay, babe. The word sounded so strange on my tongue, but I loved it. He took my hand and we made our way to his car, where we spent the next couple of minutes kissing. I could not get enough of the way that he made me feel. Even just a small peck gave me tingles deep in my belly. Now I understood what people felt in books and movies that I read. Since we both had a curfew, he drove me to my place soon after. He met my mother for the first time and they seemed to get along well. My mom even invited him over for dinner sometime. So, how did the date go? She asked. Well, my boyfriend and I enjoyed our date very much, I said. She brought me in for a very comfy hug when I told her that. I am happy for you, my son, she said. We did not hide our relationship when we were at school. We held hands, walked each other to class, and kissed. And everyone was very shocked about us. I fear you have left a trail of very broken-hearted girls, I said to him as we were walking to PE together. Well, it can't be helped. There is only one guy in my heart, he smirked. I laughed and squeezed his hand. It felt good to be wanted for once in my life. I had been battling my loneliness for a very long time, but now all of that was all over. When we rounded the corner, we bumped into Andy, and he looked pissed. Well, if it is not the hottest couple in school, he drawled. Leave us alone, Andy, I said as I tried to get past him, but he stepped in my way. Why though? You think I care about your little boyfriend? Just because he's with you does not mean that you're not worthless, he smirked. Lucas stepped toward him, but I held him back. I do not give a damn about your opinion, Andy. At least I have someone who loves me. Now get out of my way, I said in a very calm voice. He looked taken aback because I never spoke back to him. He muttered a swear word and walked away. My heart was still beating fast even when he was gone. I just stood up to Andy, I said in a daze. I am proud of you, my love, he said as he kissed me on the cheek and we walked to PE together. I realized that it was all because he stood up for me when everyone else did not. He had given me the courage to speak up in my defense for the first time. That was true love in my opinion. The end. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing to become a part of our Rainbow Force and stay wholesome.